Let me welcome our viewers around the world to Platform Media Studios International, and this is Political Arena, and my name is Joe Ehizode. Welcome to the program. With me in the studio to talk about issues that borders on the rhetorics of American politics, I'm a very fine gentleman who I can tell you viewers are prepared to give you their mind and bear their minds today and give you incisive report background on the issue we are talking about today. And I have on my left Obi Izadebe. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And on my right is Ebenezer Badewa. Ebenezer Badewa, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mr. Izadebe.
Guys, all of us have been witness to the fact of the rhetorics in American politics. The Republicans, led by Donald Trump, we as black people and as people of African descent, I can say some of us are panicky or some of us are comfortable with the rhetorics of this gentleman. Actually, Donald Trump has also mentioned that some Africans will be deported back to Africa because they don't need them in America. So guys, Obi, let me start with you. This issue we should worry ourselves about, especially most of our brothers in the United States and all of us in North America, is this something that should concern us?
Yes, it should. The thought that such a possibility would exist should concern any reasonable man, but I do not see its eventual implementation by the government of the United States.
Even if Donald Trump wins?
Yes.
Okay. By the way, how do you see the rhetorics of Donald Trump about black people, especially people of African descent?
Donald Trump is just making noise. He's entertaining his grassroots. That's the way I see him right now, because like how the president rightly put it, he said to become American president is not about advertising or entertainment. So I believe if Donald Trump eventually win the Republican nomination, you will see his tone of a message will change.
Okay, when you say that, I also get very uncomfortable when you say the tone will change. The man has harped on this message that there will be a wall across the borders of Mexico and United States, that he even went to the extent of criticizing African leaders, that they are corrupt and that they don't need Africans in America, that even, especially Nigerians, that they will be sent back to Nigeria because Americans, they are taking the jobs of Americans. So when you see a presidential candidate who has the potentials of becoming a president saying that, and you guys saying it's not going to be implemented, Mr. B, I tend to shudder at that thinking.
Well, there is some sense in some of the things Donald Trump says. For instance, African governments are corrupt.
True.
There's no doubt about it. Any African living in the United States who is not a citizen of that country has need
to be afraid.
I personally have lived abroad for 23 years. And even with the citizenship of Canada or the United Kingdom, I'm still not comfortable living in these countries because Canada cannot be my home. You know, it's my adopted country, and my home is Nigeria. So for those who live in the United States, they should always bear in mind that they are residents of the United States and that they come from African countries, and they must make arrangements. Should the worst case scenario play out, they have an alternative, but we don't expect that to happen.
Mr. Badewa, if I can get your message that Donald Trump is saying what his followers want to hear,
yes,
and that the tone will be toned down when he gets the presidency. Would that not be a kind of flip-flop of a president to promise so much and then he does this different thing when he assumes the reins of power?
So all politicians make a flip-flop when it comes to re-governing, right? You see, one thing that Donald Trump doesn't know, as of today, according to our American census, Nigerians are the most educated immigrant in America. Statistic of American shows it that 37% of Nigerians in America, in the Nigerian community, 37% of them hold first degree, while 19% hold postgraduate degree.
Yeah, it is different. It's a different thing to be versatile and effective. It's a different thing to be accepted into the community where you live.
But now he's saying that they're taking their job. Do you think any employer would want somebody who is mediocre to lead this company because the person is a free American born? Okay,
Mr. Obi. Okay, you mentioned something that Nigeria is home. But again, not America. Let's, for purpose of argument, and go historical. Who are all of us not immigrants?
That is true. Everyone, other than the Native Americans,
yes.
Everyone living in North America is an immigrant. But what has happened is that those who come first see themselves as part of Native Americans, and then consider newer immigrants as the immigrants. You know, so Nigerians who are living in North America should constitute themselves into a political force, work with other immigrants to vote massively for the Democrats to ensure that people like Donald Trump will not have access to the White House. You know, so they should not wait, you know, and allow others to determine their fate. They should take an active interest in the political process.
Okay. And that brings us to Canada. You just mentioned something that is very crucial, that people should take active interest in politics. Are Africans taking active interest in politics in Canada, from your experience?
No, not exactly. We are outsiders to the Canadian politics, and it's all our fault. For instance, in British Columbia, you know, you cannot see a black face within the cabinet. And in Canada, as a rest, you know, black people don't seem to exist politically. It's all because we're all fighting in the first instance to be able to feed our families before taking this second step.
But I disagree with you. Trying to feed your family is not, it does not preclude you from participating in politics.
It does not preclude you, but you need to have the financial wherewithal. You need to have the economic power, you know, to take time out of your job to run around for politics. And many of us don't have those means.
But don't you think we should begin to have the numbers now for us to count in the political affairs?
Of course, yes. Of course, yes. And sooner than later, many of us will begin to make inroads into Canadian politics. There's no doubt about that.
Okay. Mr. Badewa, what panel say to this problem is what?
One thing I want to say is that we, particularly the African descent in North America, many of us are very self-centered. We look onto our comfort. We have doctors, we have engineers, we live in a big house, and all these are most of our concerns. We don't have any social economy. We don't have social economy that binds us together. Our money doesn't flow within ourselves. We don't have our own business where we can employ ourselves and be self-independent within the Canadian community, like every other community we have here, until we are able to get that together before we can look into getting a voice in the political arena. Because if you go and get a voice in the political arena, who's going to support you? Mm-hmm. It is our saying that charity begins at home. Mm-hmm. Let's start our own social economy. Let's grow our community financially. Then you will see what we can do in the future.
Obi, I've been in this system for a while. You see, what I quarrel with when things are being examined is this issue of grouping the whole of Africa together. All right? And go to the ministry, you have languages, Filipino language, you have Vietnam. And then when they go to call us, everybody from Africa, they group us under one. And why is that?
It's all our fault.
Thank you.
You know, we act like Africans and we are grouped like Africans. And when we express ourselves, most people who work for the British Columbian government had not traveled beyond British Columbia. They don't even know that Africa consists of about 55 nations. It has a population of more than 1 billion, you know, different cultures, different economies, you know, and it is our responsibility to educate them on this fact. As a matter of fact, We need to do a road show that goes from school to school, from communities to communities, with a huge map of Africa, with the different cultures in Africa, with the different people group in Africa, you know, with the different political system in Africa, so that people will begin to appreciate what Africa is all about. You know, when I came here, I didn't even know I was in Canada. There was no difference between Canada and Nigeria. You know, I didn't see anything different in terms of the structure of the houses, in terms of the people that live here. I thought I was in Nigeria. So for people living in Canada to imagine that Africa is one huge forest where you see only animals is a display of ignorance of the highest order. And this is our responsibility to teach them that it is not like that.
Thank you, guys, and I appreciate that. This is why this forum is established. PMI is an advocate for the people of Africa and Africans in diaspora. And this is a forum for us to actually let people know that we exist and let people know that we can define ourselves. It's rather than people define us. So, guys, thank you for showing up. Again, viewers, these guys have actually made the point home that for us to be taken seriously, the responsibility rests on our shoulders to advocate and to speak our minds and make ourselves relevant in the community where we live. And without that, people can't take us seriously. You agree? So with that, go home tonight and think about how we can move forward and how we can make Africans and Africa relevant in the scope of things in global affairs. With that, thank you guys for showing up, and viewers, I say have a good night. I'm yours sincerely, Joe Ehizode.